They drugged my 10-year-old son and our Labrador, stuffed them in a car, and dumped them across state lines like garbage. All because the HOA president decided they were a disturbance to neighborhood aesthetics. What they didn't know, I'm the county sheriff, and I was about to make their lives a living hell, using every legal thread they thought they could manipulate. Sounds made up, right? Like some wild Reddit post written at 2 a.m. by someone high on energy drinks. I wish it was fiction. No one wants to be the dad explaining to a crying child why some strangers decided he and the dog didn't fit in and thought abduction was the answer. Even worse, that the entire horror was cloaked under smug HOA regulations. I've arrested drug lords with more empathy than the woman behind this mess. Let me rewind. 2 months earlier, I moved into a quiet cul-de-sac with my son, Ethan, and our spoiled Labrador, Duke. I bought the house sight unseen during a property auction after losing my wife. Needed a fresh start, but didn't want to move far from the department. The neighborhood looked peaceful. Manicured lawns, quiet sidewalks, neighbors who smiled from afar. The kind of place you think would be good for raising a kid. Turns out, it was a kingdom ruled by retired tyrants wielding clipboards. 3 days after we moved in, I got a letter. Apparently, my front-facing trash bins violated their precious community harmony agreement. You'd think I'd dumped a pile of rotting carcasses by the curb. It was just 2 black bins left out temporarily while I was moving a mattress. I laughed, tossed the letter. The next day, another, then a fine, then an invitation to re-educate myself on HOA guidelines. That's when I met the queen bee of it all, Helen Bannister, HOA president. Professionally bitter, perpetually displeased. Introduced herself like royalty, crisp blouse, clipboard in hand, eyes scanning me and Ethan like we were a fungus on her petunias. She called Ethan's sidewalk chalk vandalism, said Duke's barking during fetch was auditory pollution, and claimed our navy blue front door was unsettling. Unsettling? It's navy blue, not neon pink. I wanted to tell her I'd seen actual unsettling. I worked homicide, but I bit my tongue, tried to play nice. The letters didn't stop. Ethan got scolded for playing tag near the community fountain. Duke was cited for being off-leash in our own fence backyard. I didn't even know that was possible. Then came the HOA mediation meeting, a bizarre tribunal of 6 clipboard zealots quoting bylaws like scripture. Helen did most of the talking, flipping pages like a televangelist. Do you all sit around inventing rules? Or is there a bingo card? I asked. No one laughed. I told Ethan to ignore them. Just enjoy the yard. Duke, too. But then the harassment landed on our doorstep, literally. One morning, I found a note taped to my windshield. Some families don't belong here. No signature. Just HOA letterhead. I filed a complaint, of course. But surprise, it was investigated by the same people who sent it. Conclusion? Not enough evidence. Then came the snap. Tuesday night. I was called in on a stolen vehicle case across town. Didn't get home until after 1 a.m. House was quiet. Thought Ethan and Duke were asleep. Next morning, Ethan's bed was empty. So was Duke's crate. No note. No signs. I checked the park, his friends' homes. Nothing. The calm, cop training vanished. I tore through the town like a man possessed. Amber Alert. Surveillance. Full-blown protocol. By sunrise, we found something on a camera near the HOA clubhouse. A board member, Glenn, retired mailman with way too much time, walking Ethan and Duke to a van. Ethan looked groggy. Duke didn't bark. A white rental van, no plates. I confronted Helen that afternoon. She was pruning her roses like it was any other Tuesday. I demanded answers. She didn't blink. Just said, they've been relocated for the greater peace of the community. Relocated? Like my son was a garbage bin? I didn't yell. I smiled. Because in that moment, I knew. She thought this was legal. She thought the HOA gave her the right to relocate human beings. That arrogance? It was going to be her undoing. Greg's van was found 3 counties over, dumped at a gas station. Clerk said a weird old couple dropped off a boy and dog at a rescue center, claimed the kid belonged to the state. They vanished before anyone got their names. Ethan was found inside, crying. Duke was sedated. No food. No water. Just a note in Ethan's pocket. Maybe now you'll listen. I held my son like I thought he might disappear again. I didn't cry, but something inside me broke clean in half. This wasn't HOA pettiness. This was criminal. The next day, I walked into the HOA budget meeting with a warrant in one hand and a file in the other. No shouting, just quiet fury. I dropped the folder on the table. Helen looked up, startled. I didn't let her speak. Illegal detainment of a minor. Unlawful transport across state lines. Sedating an animal without consent. Misuse of HOA funds. And that wasn't even the juicy part. The HOA had registered as a quasi-public board. That let me pull financials under FOIA. $40,000 for a Zen rock garden that didn't exist. $1,000 for pet waste consultation. It was fraud layered on kidnapping layered on delusion. When Greg stammered he was just following orders, I shut him down. That defense didn't work at Nuremberg. It won't work here. I had it all. Emails, surveillance, receipts. The crown jewel? An internal email from Helen discussing relocation strategies for non-conforming families, including Ethan by name. It was part of a broader campaign. Other families. Other pets. This wasn't a one-off. It was a pattern. I sent the email to the DA. He asked, "You want the arrest or should I?" I said, "I do." But before I could knock on her door, the story leaked. Maybe a resident. Maybe a board member trying to save themselves. Either way, by sunrise, it was national news. Cameras on my lawn. Hashtag Sheriff versus HOA trending. Helen's past unearthed. Previous HOA scandals. A lawsuit over a failed landscaping scam. She didn't see it coming. I went to her house at 6:03 a.m. She was gone. Vanished. Greg, too. Someone saw them packing late the night before, heading east. But I'd already called the state patrol. They were stopped 15 miles over the county line at a gas station. Boxes labeled files. A paper shredder in the back seat. Greg was crying. Helen still wore her smug expression. She accused me of a witch hunt. I handed her the warrant and said, "Not a witch hunt. Pest control." The booking photos were art. The queen and her knight, now inmates. But the job wasn't over. Other board members had approved budgets and surveillance. I subpoenaed everything. My tech team combed through emails. The findings? Enough for a docuseries. Residents described as aesthetic liabilities. Greg suggesting motion-activated sprinklers to deter undesirables. It wasn't about community. It was about control. I held a town hall. No flyers needed. Word spread. I showed everything. Video, emails, finances. Announced the HOA was dissolved by court order. A temporary city board would manage things until elections. And no future HOA could reinstate Helen's rules. The place erupted. Clapping. Cheers. Hugs. But what mattered most? Ethan was there. Safe. Smiling. Duke too, tail wagging. At the HOA asset auction, I bought the clubhouse. Outbid a realtor who won a yoga studio. Converted it into a dog park. Mural of Ethan and Duke above the words, "Disturbances welcome." Opening day was pure joy. Kids laughing. Dogs barking. No clipboards in sight. A week later, I got a photo. Helen, in another county, standing beside a new HOA sign. Different blouse. Same game. Already calling herself acting president. I contacted a local resident named Leah, a teacher. She'd moved in weeks prior. Said Helen had already criticized their porch swing. I sent Leah everything. Arrest records, injunctions, press. County records showed Helen had registered underage. B. Avery, laughably lazy. The DA reopened the case. Turns out Helen skipped community service. Fugitive from civil judgment. She held her first meeting at a community center. I sat in the back, cap low, bad coffee in hand. She passed out rulebooks. Same rules. No toys, pet noise limits, kids indoors after 8. She even invoked my name, claiming law enforcement cooperation. I stood, walked to the front, pulled off the cap. Her face fell. I told the room who I was, what she'd done, why she was banned, handed out documents. Her meeting collapsed in minutes. Helen stormed out, clipboard clutched like a blankie. A week later, The new HOA was dismantled before it started. Back home, peace returned. Ethan sleeps soundly. Duke barks at squirrels like they owe him rent. The dog park is thriving. That mural? A local landmark now. A reminder that justice sometimes wags its tail. I still get letters from across the country. Stories of HOA nightmares. I started helping people pro bono, reviewing HOA contracts, spreading awareness. As for Helen, last I heard, she tried to join a neighborhood council 2 towns over. Denied. Her name? Accancionatale. The woman who went too far. She underestimated a father, a dog, and a badge. And that was her final mistake.